Okay, Bob, you got to you do a couple things. You have a habit. Every time I haven't seen you for a while, you get wide with your stance again. That wide is not good. It just doesn't allow your body to turn. You have to rotate. Your biggest swing flaw is a lack of proper rotation over your upper body. You tend to tilt. You tend to what used to be called a reverse pivot, or what I call rocking your shoulders instead of rotating your shoulders. And the wider you go, the harder it is to turn. So you've got to bring that in a little bit, especially on a short club like this. I mean, there's tour pros that are bare. They almost look like they're putting with a wedge, like in here. So the standard is shoulder width for drivers, inside the shoulder for 5-irons, and really just outside the chest bone, the sternum for wedges. So this is way too wide for a wedge, and that's going to restrict your ability to turn. You see how in front of the ball you're getting with that short takeaway? We'll talk about the club in a minute, but I want you to watch the body here. Got to get more of it behind the ball, bud. We can't live with that and be as consistent as we want to. And when you said now I got something to work on, I'm hoping that's what you're taking away with you. Okay, so that's the big thing. I'm just talking about the body here. So you're going to narrow the stance. Ball position's fine if you narrow that stance a little bit. It's too far forward the way your stance is right now. But if your stance if this foot were right here where maybe it should be, it would be in the middle of your stance. Do you see how that changes? So ball position's fine if you can come in. Your left hand grip, you've always played with a strong one. It's one of the reasons you got a lot of distance, but it can turn into a hook if we get back inside, so we got to watch that. Okay, that's why I keep that thumb down to make sure you don't hook it. But just feel like instead of lowering the body, you actually turn the body. So I'm going to take a look here, just body again, not talking about the club yet. Okay, so this is Michelle Wie when she could still play. Probably the biggest waste of talent that the LPGA ever saw. There's that head staying behind the ball. So you've got to feel like you can get in there and turn more to get behind that ball a little bit, because you're always out in front of it, and then you're forced to do what? Throw the club at it. That's where that early release that you have comes from. Address, impact. So that's the big deal with the body. We got to get you turned behind it and staying behind it. You can see here where she rotates, she drives the lower, but the upper stays back, heads behind the ball. All right, so we got to keep working on that turn. All right, let's show you from behind what you're doing with this golf club here. All right, so we know we're going to fix the stance. To be aware of the grip. The aim is pretty good, and you didn't have as much trouble aiming today. But I want you to realize that right there is a part of what you do. The club moves. It's probably moved about 4 feet there, without any movement to the shoulders at all. That's what I want to show you. Okay, so when you get to there, I'll show you what I mean here. If we could sync your body up with this thing a little bit, you would be a lot more consistent in your ability to get down to the ball. So look how much more shoulder turn there is there. If you see a top level player, a tour player, by the time they get their left arm like this parallel to the ground, we call the halfway back position, they're pretty well turned. Their back is pretty much to the target. A lot of club golfers are guilty of what you're doing, and it throws the whole thing off because you're starting the arms, you're giving them a big head start. The shoulders are tilting instead of turning. And then at the top, the face is open and it's laid off. So I'm trying to get you to the point where you can really feel the sync, because if we can get you synced up a little bit, this club will be more down the line like we want it. Let's see if I can get it going. Who do I have down here? I got to bring you back up over here though. A little longer club. Well, there's the point I want to make with it there. You know, say the line. That club's in line with his hands. So he's got a good chance that when he comes down, the club will still be in line with his hands. At your top of your swing, the club gets way outside your hands. Okay, so the shoulders need to be more turned and the club needs to be more down the line. You've almost got to feel like when I was, is this the one where I was stood out there? Let me see if I can find that, where I was showing you what I wanted you to feel here. Let me see. There was one time, if you remember, I was standing out here like if we were on a clock dial here, you know, and 12 o'clock here would be your target, like here. I want you to, you know, try to think about pointing the club over here at 1, all right? Because yours tends to get over there at 10. And I've got to get your shoulders earlier and get you synced up with this club a little more down, even on your wedges. Even on your wedges. That's the only way I can get you down inside to, and on a better swing plane here. Now this is a hair better. And there, right there, here's that arm parallel to the ground, right the halfway back. I'd like to see it pretty well turned right there. I'm not saying for an iron like this, you have to have a big, you know, full swing. I'm just saying I can't let those arms win the race because it's always going to be, that's much better there. So you could see that coming because you started out earlier with the shoulders and you gave yourself a fighting chance there. You got a much better chance to get to the bottom of that ball than you did. Still got to avoid that. I call it bailing out. But for you, there's always going to be a little bit of that. But if we get the club in a better position, turn the shoulders earlier, drop the arms down, not come over the top. So let's watch that. Take us real slow here so we can watch the beginning of this swing. You also want to make sure you keep your hands up a little bit higher at the address. Sometimes you play with low hands. Okay, good. Probably your best backswing of the whole morning. Now what we do is, this is the top end of the deal. It's like a cone shape here, right? That's the top end of the deal of the swing plane. Now what we've got to do is get you down in the middle here. It's so much better right there. And I think after a while you're going to be able to trust not having to bail out. But I think when your shoulders get tilted and you do a dip and your club gets laid off and you come outside, that's when you have to bail out of it. That's just leftover behavior from the other stuff. But this is really, that's solid right there. You know, so that's what we want to keep you thinking about, okay? See if I have a driver here. Did I get a driver on there? And you got rid of the hybrids, you said, because you were hooking them, right? Yeah, I could see that. So you have a lot of speed, and high speed, the higher speed players tend to hook the hybrids. It's just, I think, the way the clubs are built. You know, they're easier for the slower swing guys to get the club up in the air, but you're not. You've got speed to burn, so. Oh, there it is. That's what I was doing there. When I was standing there, I was trying to get you to feel exaggerated of a point to the right. So if you're out there at the flag and you thought you were, you know, if the flag's the pitcher, and you thought you were going to point this over to the first baseman or the right, there it is. Right. That starts with an early shoulder turn, club down the line, and you got a fighting chance to bring it down from inside there. Okay. That's beautiful there. I know it's not easy with the ball there, but that is the right practice. And you did a number of those today. I think the hosel shot's going to be gone. Still a little lunge out to it though, you know, even on a practice swing. You've got to get back to that position. Like if you start there and you go to there, there will be a chance, even if we do get you down inside, there's going to be a chance of you getting that hosel on it because you're lunging out at it. So we've got to keep it in tight. You know, we've got to keep you back here. Keep your posture. Don't lunge out at it. That would still be involved with turning first, dropping the arms behind you. Keeping them, a couple times I said, you know, feel like you're brushing your thigh or your crotch area here. One guy I had that liked to practice his irons, he would put an empty water bottle in his pocket. It's a great drill. Put an empty water bottle in his pocket, and he would try to feel his arms brush the water bottle as he came by. You know, anything to avoid that. That's called lower body extension, and you know, you're really, but you start there. So in summary then, narrow the stance, make sure you got the left thumb a little longer, right hand on top, turn your shoulders earlier, get it inside, point it down the line, almost feel like it's pointed to the right, and then drop your hands down nice and close to your body. Don't lunge out at it, and we'll be fine. Okay, Bob, good to see you again. I think one more, I always tell people this in the beginning of a season, is that one more thing I think you ought to consider is, you know, doing this a little more prophylactically, not waiting till it gets way off base, because it's harder for me to get it fixed if you do. And, you know, even if you're playing reasonably well, get it checked on sometimes. I'm certainly not looking for more business. I've got more than I can handle, but that's the way to do it for those of you who want to keep your game in shape. If you wait till it, you know, you start shanking, it's too late. I'll see you, Bob.